What is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Sanji back at it with another video. Wow, what a statement win by the Las Vegas Raiders, man! What a huge win. We're gonna discuss it, man. I hope you guys can all hear me. Uh, wow, I'm at a loss of words over this victory right here. We're gonna discuss it and we're gonna really get into it. We're really gonna break it down because the Las Vegas Raiders did a fantastic job, man. They really did a fantastic job. And I'm pumped up, man. I'm very pumped up. Huge shout out to all of you guys that are already here. Thank you, John, for confirming that you guys can hear me. Oh wow, let's get into this, man. First and foremost, subscribe if you guys are not already subscribed. I have a ton of Raiders content, film breakdowns, all that good stuff. But let's discuss this victory, man. The Las Vegas Raiders beat the Colts 23-20 in a last minute field goal, a last minute drive by our quarterback Derek Carr, man. This game started off and it did not start off great for DC. He had 2 interceptions early on. And honestly, it seemed like the Raiders were pretty much dominating this game, but those interceptions really kind of hindered us a little bit. And in the second half, when we needed it most, Derek Carr got it done. He converted multiple fourth downs. He converted multiple third downs. And as a team, we did a great job on third downs. We were 6 of 14. And Derek Carr was getting it done when needed, right? 6 of 14 on third downs, 2 of 2 on fourth downs. And that right there was the difference in this game. And I'm excited, man. I see a lot of people talking about the defense, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into Derek Carr. But before we get into it, man, I do want to take a quick moment to give a huge shout out and pay my respects to John Madden. One of the best players, coaches, one of the guys for Raider Nation. I started my interest in football by the video game, which a lot of people might not know that. But I started off with Madden, the game, right? And I used to be one of the best Madden players back in the late 2000s, 2007, 8, 9. I used to compete, and I was one of the best Madden players. And I still play a little bit of Madden. But you can almost say that I got into football because of John Madden, right? And of course, he means so much to the Raiders organization. So you just got to give some shout out to him and some big respect to the coach. But with that being said, man, I'm very glad that the Raiders came together and put it together and won this game, because this game meant a lot, right? For us in the Raider Nation, this game meant so much more than any game ever in the past. You can argue that the only game that really meant anything over the past 15 years was that 2016 season, right? The last 4 or 5 games. And of course, that Colts game, right? That was the game that we technically, with that win, would have sealed ourselves into the playoffs. And that was the game that Derek Carr ended up getting hurt. But the Raiders got it done when it mattered. And in my personal opinion, there's so many game balls that you can give out. Derek Carr did just enough for the Raiders to win. Marcus Mariota had 2 or 3 huge plays. The defensive side of the ball did a great job, right? You got to give a huge shout out to every single person on the defense side of the ball. You can pretty much give a huge shout out to all of our guys. You can even give a huge shout out to that corner for the Indianapolis Colts that touched down Hunter Renfrow. He barely touched his foot, and because of that, Hunter Renfrow was considered down. Because think about it. At that point, if we score a touchdown, the Colts have the ball with 48 seconds left and 2 touchdowns. They have a shot still to come back and potentially tie the game. But because of the fact that they wasted one of their timeouts to avoid the 10-second runoff, for that specific reason, they didn't have enough time to stop the clock, right? The Raiders could have ran the ball 3 straight times, and we could have taken the ball all the way down, or the clock all the way down to 1 or 2 seconds left, which is exactly what the Raiders did. And we kicked the field goal with Daniel Carlson, which is another guy that absolutely deserves a game ball, man. Daniel Carlson has been super clutch for the Raiders, and I absolutely love it, man. I'm very excited. With that being said, I want to get into some of these comments. We'll get into those actually a little bit later on. I want to talk a little bit about the game. But I also want to let you guys know, if you guys want to be featured on the channel, the best way to be featured is Super Chats. As you guys know, a lot of the videos that I do, especially the film ones, don't get monetized. So I make absolutely nothing from it. And that's why going live for me is always the best way, because any Super Chat comes directly to supporting this channel. So if you guys want to be featured on the channel, Super Chat's the best way to do it. Let's talk a little bit about this game. There was a moment in this game where I really thought the Raiders were about to blow this away. We were up, I believe, 3-13 with about 2 minutes left into halftime. Not only did we kick the ball out of bounds, right? For whatever reason, it went out of bounds. I believe it probably went off Daniel Carlson's foot, just came off incorrectly. They drove downfield because Gus Bradley called a very conservative defense. They scored a touchdown, and the score was 13-10 at that point going into halftime. They got the ball and got a huge break, a super lucky play. Carson Wentz literally threw an interception, and that interception fell out of our hands and fell right into their hands for a touchdown. An interception to a touchdown, right? It's 13-10. They get this lucky play. Now it's 17-13. Literally 2 drives flipped the entire game because the Raiders defense was pretty much dominating the Colts. Like, minus 2 drives, the defense really just held the Colts in check. But you think about that, right? 3-13 out of nowhere, 2 drives. Now it's 17-13. And I really thought this is the end, man. This is literally about to be the end of the Raiders season. We get the ball back, and Derek Carr throws an interception to Darius Leonard. A great play by Darius Leonard, superstar linebacker. That interception got them the ball, I think, around the 45-yard line, and they got in field goal range, and Carson Wentz made a boneheaded mistake, and we get a sack on Wentz, and they are forced to punt the ball. And that was huge for the Raiders right there because the defense really stepped up and forced the Colts offense not to get points, instead to punt the football back to us. And that right there was a game-changing momentum play made by the defensive line and those guys in the secondary. Again, 13-3, 13-17, an interception, a boneheaded mistake. Like, the momentum in this game was all over the place. And I think overall, everyone did just a good enough job to get the job done against a Colts offense. They averaged 25, 26 points a game. They are the 5th best offense in the league, and we held them to less points than they typically score. So you got to give a big shout out to the defense. I see all of you guys' super chats. I'm sorry, all of you guys' comments, and I always appreciate them, man. Shazi Saeed said, can we shout out the defense? They consistently keep us in the game when our offense inevitably has moments when they sputter. Absolutely, man. Look, I know every single one of you guys that are watching this video right now understand how important the defense has been these past couple of weeks. The defense has kept us in the game every single week. And this is the thing, right? Coming into this season, we had told ourselves we're going to get worse on the offensive line. We may lose a player here or there. Nelson Aguilar, we lost him. But what we're going to do is we're going to put together a better defense that will allow us to be a little bit more balanced. We don't have to score 30 points every game. That's exactly what the Raiders are now doing. Right, we're keeping ourselves in the game. Derek Carr is doing just enough. The run game has come together. Like, it's really come together these past couple of weeks, and it's doing just enough for the Raiders to get it done. But that investment, getting rid of the second highest paid offensive line to having one of the league's lowest paid offensive lines, it's paying off. Like, we've done just enough to get to the point where we're at right now. And I know some people are saying, you face 2 backup quarterbacks the past 2 weeks. You don't deserve it. We didn't play a backup quarterback this week, and I understand Carson Wentz was not 100% healthy, right? He just came back from COVID. Aside from not being healthy, he hasn't practiced. But the Raiders also had their scare a little bit throughout this week, and they didn't practice the same way either, right? The defensive guys did not practice the same way as Carson Wentz didn't practice. So there's no excuses at the end of the day. The Raiders beat an Indianapolis Colts team that was just as healthy as the Raiders were, and we proved that we are still a capable team. Our players are still capable players. The crazy part is Darren Waller should be back next week, and it's going to be the biggest game of the season. And we've been saying that, but that's kind of where we're at, right? You can't be 5-2, and then after 5-2 be 6-7 and not think these are must-win games. Big shout out to everybody on the defense and the offense as well. Thank you for the comment. Casey said the first interception was a long punt. Drive killers were penalties on the Colts side of the field. The procedural penalty and second interception, Colts are a good, tough win. I appreciate the super chat, KC. Let's talk about that, man. I get what you're saying with the first interception being essentially a punt, but I disagree with him, man. We have to score points. We have to score touchdowns. Derek Carr did a great job today. Flat out, he won us this game. When we needed it, he got it done. But we can still be critical of Derek. That first interception was not a long punt. That first interception was an underthrown pass by 6 yards, right? If he puts it 6 yards further, Deshaun Jackson, who had a step on his guy, catches it in stride and scores a touchdown. It was a underthrown pass. You can say it was a long punt, sure, but it's 3rd and 3. When you get the first down, you score points. You don't punt the ball from the 50-yard line or wherever the Raiders were at that point. Uh, either way, the second interception was definitely a great play by Darius Leonard. But at the end of the day, none of that matters, right? Because the Raiders got the win. The defense did their jobs, just like they did last week. When Derek Carr threw the interception, the defense got the stop like they're supposed to. And that interception led to Derek Carr going downfield and getting us in position to win the game. Well, the same thing happened today, right? The defense did their job, and Derek Carr went down and did what he needed to do, right? Great job by everybody. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Manish said, we did it, Sanjit. Raider Nation's live. Absolutely, man. Raiders are right there in the playoffs. Very, very excited to kind of see what happens. Mr. Nate Duncan said, our defense keeps showing up. God bless Coach Madden for watching over us. Absolutely, man. Shout out to Coach Madden. John Madden, one of the best, one of the true men that represents Raider Nation. John Madden, man. Big shout out to him. But you're spot on, man. Our defense did just enough to get it done. You got to give a big shout out to Gus Bradley, because Gus Bradley has taken a terrible Paul Guenther coached defense, Paul Guenther players, right? Like, let's not forget, a lot of these guys also played for Paul Guenther. He took those guys and turned them into winners, turned them into guys that can actually get stops. So you got to give a big shout out to Gus Bradley and those guys on that coaching staff, right? Rod Marinelli stuck around as well, and our defense has been getting it done. And I know our pass rush was not great today. I believe we had 2 sacks. Let me confirm that. We had 1 sack on Carson Wentz, but what we also had was 7 quarterback hits. So 1 sack, 7 quarterback hits on Carson Wentz. That's winning football, man. So you got to give a shout out to the defensive line for that. And the secondary did a great job. And we'll talk a little bit about the dropped interceptions in just a second, because it's becoming an issue, right? Like, let's be honest. Casey Hayward has now dropped, I believe, 5 interceptions this year. We'll talk about that in just a second. Leatherwood and Parker give me migraines. BP Lup said that, and I agree. At this point, we're not going to get any sort of change on the offensive line. All right. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're not going to get that change on the offensive line. We're going to roll Brandon Parker the rest of the season. And even Alex Leatherwood, Alex Leatherwood was getting his butt kicked. There was a play that Darius Leonard put him down, and Darius Leonard got up and taunted in Alex Leatherwood's face. And Alex Leatherwood was like, yup, you watch out for the next play. And then I kept my eyes on Leatherwood and just whiffed on the next play, right? It almost seems like Alex Leatherwood has to take his game and get like 4 or 5 times better. Like, he has to improve that much, because that is how terrible Alex Leatherwood has been at times this season. But thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Cruise Control said, positive vibes, tough watching Raid the Tape, and you just wanted to give me weekly investments, HNY 2022. I appreciate the super chat, man. Positive vibes. I totally agree with you on that, man. We control our own destiny. All right, don't forget that, Raider Nation. I know some people are still going to be very critical of Derek Carr. Some people are going to talk about some of the negative plays, but we still won at the end of the day, and we're still in the playoff hunt. What's funny is I actually saw some people talk a little bit about Marcus Mariota's one and only pass, the incompletion that fell to Hunter Renfrow. People saying that he's so much better of a deep thrower than Derek Carr, and you just look at that throw, it hit Hunter Renfrow right in his hands. And it's just crazy how some people take even wins and they start twisting it into loss or into something negative when it's not. The Raiders won. They got it done, man. So I don't know. It never comes to me why some people are so negative all the time. I get you may not like Derek Carr, and that's kind of what you're trying to push, but at the end of the day, we're in the playoff hunt. For pretty much the entire time I've watched the Raiders, we've lost every single year. And this year just feels different. It just feels like it's the year of the Raiders. It's the year that we get to finally get into the playoffs. And I know 2016 was a great year as well, and I really enjoyed it. But the Colts game, Derek Carr got hurt, and that was our entire season. Like, once Derek Carr went down, we knew we had no shot of doing anything. This year is different because the Raiders defense is much better than that defense in the past, at least in my opinion. I know that defense had a lot of turnovers, but this defense shuts teams down and doesn't give up as many points. And I think that right there is much better. Give up less points than turnovers because the turnovers will come. Trayvon Merrick dropped an interception today. Casey Hayward dropped an interception today. Right, those plays will be there for you to make. It's just a matter of time as these guys make those plays, right? Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Zay Jones is coming into his own. He has saved us. Absolutely. You know what's crazy is people talked about Zay Jones and they said Zay Jones is this trash wide receiver. He's not good. He's this, he's that. And it's crazy to think this, but Zay Jones is a pretty freaking good player, man. If you just give him the opportunity, he runs good routes. He gets open. He makes the smart play. I think it was 3rd and 9. It was, I think, in the second quarter, 3rd and 9. Derek Carr hit Zay Jones for like a 7-yard curl on the left side. And Zay Jones catches the pass, turns around and picks the first down up. That's not typical of every single wide receiver, right? So Zay Jones has been coming into his own. I forget exactly how many catches he had last week, but he had 8 catches for 120 freaking yards. Zay Jones, 120 yards. I'm sure this is probably the best game of his career. A big shout out to Zay Jones, man. 120 yards, 8 catches. He looked like a good freaking player out there. Gary Sanders, I just saw this comment saying, "Can I say F Antonio Brown today?" The Antonio Brown situation is crazy. And if you guys don't know, Antonio Brown took his shoulder pads off and he walked out on his team. And the thing is us as Raider fans, it's crazy because some people are saying, they're surprised that Antonio Brown will do something like this. Us as Raider fans are not surprised. We know what Antonio Brown is. We know the type of person he is. It's clear, man. It's very clear. Thank you. I really appreciate all the comments that are coming in. Larry Millette said, regardless of next game, I think this was the game that decided Carr's future today. I think Mark will extend him. I don't want to go there yet because I don't know if it's going to be Mark Davis's decision only. I think the next coaching staff will also have some input. But I think Derek Carr did a great job today, and he really did. If there's a scale, right, 1 through 100, and let's say Derek Carr was at 50 in terms of getting extended, he definitely went towards the right. He definitely went towards that 100 mark in terms of getting that extension because today's game he played great at the end of the day. We got it done. And I know some people are going to look at those interceptions, but when it mattered, he got it done. That's all that matters. I appreciate the super chat. If you guys could hit that thumbs up button, there's over 500 of you guys here already. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for being here, man. Another part in this game today that really had me was a pass interference on the final drive of the game by Nate Hobbs. And then at the same time, you look at that Hunter Renfrow play by Marcus Mariota and them not calling the pass interference on that play. I don't know. It almost seems like, it was kind of favoring the Colts in terms of penalties. And the Raiders played a clean game in terms of penalties. I believe we had maybe 3 or 4 penalties the entire game. They did a really good job. Penalties are oftentimes the decider in football games, and the Raiders played a very clean game. So I'm excited about that. But, that penalty on Nate Hobbs, I don't agree with it. But I am glad that Nate Hobbs did make up for that play. Nate Hobbs, I believe a couple plays later, 3rd and 9, the quarterback threw Hines the football, and Nate Hobbs ran up there and tackled him for a 3 or 4 yard gain. So it's about 4th and 4, 4th and 5. Those type of plays matter. I know some people will say it's not a big deal. He just made a tackle, but those are the difference making plays, right? You give up 4 yards on 3rd and 9 and you make the tackle. If he misses that tackle and they get a first down, now they're cooking to score a touchdown, right? Instead, with 2 minutes left, they had to settle for a field goal. Oftentimes, games come down to the final possession or two, and that's kind of happened with the Raiders these past couple of weeks, right? Even our loss against Washington, they literally drove the ball downfield and kicked a field goal with a couple, 40, 50 seconds left. Against the Broncos, we went downfield and we kicked the field goal to win. The Browns, same thing. We went downfield at the end of the game to win, right? Those are the types of things that oftentimes matter, and I'm glad that the Raiders were able to get it done. Rich Masacci did a great job coaching today. So got to give a shout out to him. Fish and Riff said, is Incognito still on the roster? If so, why? He is on the roster. I believe this is going to be his final year, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this Richie Incognito's final season with the Raiders? Let me know what you guys think right now. I think it is. I think he's been unhealthy for 2 straight years. He takes up a roster spot. And in my opinion, John Simpson's a really good backup left guard, but he's not a full-time starter. And unless he takes a big step forward next year, which I'm okay with giving him that opportunity and giving him that shot, but he's not ready to be a starter, at least not what I've seen from him on tape. He makes too many mistakes. And again, I know some people might say, well, he didn't give up a sack today. He didn't give up a penalty today, but he gave up a ton of really, really bad plays, right? Bad, missed blocks, his backside not being able to shut down DeForest Buckner on the backside runs. And those type of things you may not often notice right away, but definitely got to upgrade that left guard position. Again, if you guys can hit that thumbs up button, I'd really appreciate it. And let me know what kind of comments you guys have right now. Super chats are the way to go. Mr. Nate Duncan said, let's take care of business at home next week, possibly even the night game. Happy New Year, brother. Raiders, I appreciate you, man. Happy New Year's to all of you guys. 550 of you guys here. Hit that thumbs up button. Happy New Year's to everybody, man. For reals. But before we get into this comment, let me just give you guys my New Year's speech really quickly. Last year coming into 2021, I had a New Year's resolution. My New Year's resolution was to up my game and to get away from my 9 to 5, right? And what I mean by up my game was I wanted to not only take the YouTube channel to the next level, but I wanted to open a couple other YouTube channels. I wanted to open up a website. And then my wife and I also run our own business in San Francisco where we live. And I wanted to take that to the next level. And I'm getting to the point where I don't have to work my 9 to 5 anymore. And I can just focus on just the business side of things. And that was my New Year's resolution. And I really worked to get there. The website has not been to where I want. It's not completely done yet. But that was one of my goals, right? And my point in saying that is if you put 5 goals on the list and you knock down 3 or 4 of those goals, you don't have to hit all your goals. But if you don't make those goals, you won't know where you're trying to go. You won't know your direction. So for all of you guys that are watching, make sure you guys have a goal this year, man. Make sure you guys better yourselves. Make sure you do what it takes to have the financial freedom, to have happiness and all that good stuff. But let's get back into this super chat, man. You're saying let's take care of business next week. Absolutely. I'm not sure exactly what the score of that Chargers Broncos game is. I don't even know if it's later on today or tomorrow, but if the Chargers lose that game, I'm not sure if it's a must win for us at that point. I'm going to say it still is because I believe the Chargers may still end up with a tied divisional record. I think at that point it'll go down to like the conference records and stuff like that. But the Raiders, in my opinion, you win next week and you're in the playoffs. Every single tiebreaker, every single one of those things works in the Raiders' favor. And a lot of you guys have asked me, why are the Dolphins in front of the Raiders? Why are the Ravens and Chargers all in front of the Raiders right now? The seeding does not matter right now because of the fact that the Raiders still play the Chargers the final game of the year. When there's a 3 or 4-way tie, the way the NFL breaks it down is they'll take any divisional opponents and they'll remove the weaker of the divisional opponents first. So you got 4 teams. 2 of those 4 teams are divisional rivalries, the Raiders and the Chargers. And the Chargers right now have the better divisional record. So they take the Raiders and they put them in the 4th position, in the 4th place. Now, obviously, if the Raiders beat the Chargers next week, when they look at those 4 teams and they do the divisional breakdown, the Raiders are actually ahead of the Chargers. So the Chargers would be in 4th place, which means of the other 3 remaining teams, the Ravens, the Raiders, and the Dolphins, the Raiders have beat the other 2 teams. So we'd end up being ahead of all those teams. So I hope that made sense. Basically, it does not matter right now for the Raiders how the seeding looks. Those teams can all win the rest of their games. The Ravens, Dolphins can win the rest of these 2 weeks. The Raiders win out, and they are ahead of all those teams. Steelers, Browns, Broncos. We beat all those teams, so we would be ahead. So you win out, you're in the playoffs. DC, thank you for the super sticker. I really appreciate the $10 donation. As mentioned, the tube really comes after me, man. It really does. And it's unfortunate. It's not just me. I know my man Mikey Raider went through it a couple months to years back. I know some other guys have kind of went through it as well. It's unfortunate that you can't use like the NFL all 22 path, the footage as you may want to use it. It's kind of unfortunate, but I guess it makes sense. But yeah, man, I really appreciate that $10 super sticker. Chef said, Keep Zay Brian Edwards on the hot seat. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat. So Silver Raider says, Sanjit, you know the refs against it. So what? We play two opponents every game. We've got to accept it and use it as motivation. Absolutely. And the thing is it's not just us fans, right? Like I've spoken to some players that have mentioned it, that sometimes these referees don't call games fairly. Like I've had two players over the past, I'd say 3 to 4 months, mention that specific scenario to me, that sometimes things are not called fairly. And I agree. Sometimes it's not called fairly. Like you look at that Hunter Renfrow pass, and his jersey was being tucked. He was being pulled. He was being pulled into the corner. And then at the same time, you look at the Nate Hobbs play, same situation, and they flag one but don't flag the other. Right? In my opinion, it's not being called fairly. But I appreciate the super chat. John Salinas said, great job by the defense. We need a quarterback leader. Our O-line is young. They will make mistakes. Raiders needed to play with the lead to help contain Taylor. Absolutely. And that's the thing, right? That's why it was so important for the Raiders to get the ball first. You know, I'm a person who believes that you always kick to start the game, or you always defer the decision to halftime, right? You don't take the ball first unless it's a game like today where you can't play from behind. You have to play from the lead. And that's why it was so important for the Raiders to actually go downfield and score a touchdown. And they did that. And then that allows the defense to play much better. You know, let's be honest. Jonathan Taylor, you know, comparing Jonathan Taylor to Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor had a great game. 20 carries, 108 yards. But to Jonathan Taylor standards, 108 yards is not a great game. The guy's had 150 yards multiple times this year. 108 yards is not a great game. Consider this. He had almost 50 yards on 2 carries. That means on his other 18 carries, he had like 65 yards, right? So keep that in mind. You know, in my opinion, Jonathan Taylor did not have a great game, but the Raiders did a great job containing him. Many runs of his were like 2-3 yard runs. And I think that was one of the biggest differences in this game. Dante Deal said Hunter Renfrow equals the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. Malcolm Koonce almost got a sack. The D played great. Also, good thing we got rid of AB after his shenanigans. Absolutely. You know, I talked to AB. You know, he's DM'd me in the past. He doesn't come off as a hateful person. He said positive things about the Raiders to me via DMs recently. And I don't know what it is with AB and you know what happened with AB with the Raiders. I don't know exactly what happened today with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's just crazy because the Raiders moved on from him and he really ruined our season. Like, let's be honest. In 2019, AB ruined the Raiders season. We're going into 2019 and we're going to be such a more explosive offense. And he really ruined our season that year, right? But I agree with the rest of what you're saying. Hunter Renfrow is a great wide receiver. And let's be honest, Hunter Renfrow is a top 12 wide receiver in the league. And keep in mind, that's in this offense. Imagine if he's in an offense like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Green Bay Packers, where they throw the ball 15, 20, 25 yards downfield at a time. Right? The Raiders don't run that offense. The Raiders run those 5, 6, 7-yard throws, which is different. We run that West Coast style of offense. And we're really missing a deep threat too. So it makes it that much harder on a guy like Hunter Renfrow. But he still makes plays. Like when Derek Carr needed it, 3rd and 10, he needed someone to kind of step up to the challenge and make a play. Derek Carr threw a pass, and he kind of just threw it up there to a spot, right? Like it wasn't a bad throw. It was a good throw to a spot. And Hunter Renfrow adjusted midair, caught the pass. He got up and ran it for a touchdown. Like that's a heads-up play, right? Hunter Renfrow is a super smart guy, and he deserves so much credit, as does Malcolm Koonce, man. Malcolm freaking Koonce. I posted this comment to my Twitter, and I was just kind of joking, just to kind of see how people would feel. I said Malcolm Koonce is the Raiders' best defensive end. I didn't really mean it, right? I just kind of wanted to troll some people and kind of see. Not that I don't think he's a good football player. I think he may be a really good football player. Like, to be honest, he may be the best defensive end. I don't necessarily think that today, but Malcolm Koonce, man, he's played, I think, like 20 snaps at this point. He has 2 sacks. He almost had a 3rd sack today. The guy needs to be playing more, man. I don't know what it is, why he doesn't play more. And I almost feel like Gus Bradley does this, right? He did this with when he was with the Chargers Nowusu is his last name. I don't know how to say his first name. Came out of USC. The Chargers took him in the second round. He didn't play a ton. He really just came in on pass rushing situational downs. But he's a good football player. Even now, he plays more for the Chargers now. I think he has like 7-8 sacks this year. A good football player. And I feel like that's kind of what Gus Bradley is going to use Malcolm Kuntz for. He's going to be a situational 5 to 8 snaps a game. And again, I don't know if that's the way to go, but Malcolm Kuntz, love the guy. Some people are talking about Sanjit drink a beer. Someone else said Sanjit doesn't drink. That's not the case, man. I drink alcohol occasionally. I'm a Irish whiskey guy, so I don't drink beer that often. If I drink, it's definitely Jameson or Crown Royal. So just to clarify that for you. Joe S said, if we win next week and clinch playoff berth, is it a lock that we keep Rich Bisaccia as a head coach? I don't think so. I don't think Rich Bisaccia is locked in as the Raiders head coach. Now, with that being said, he's definitely improved and he's definitely got better. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was super harsh on Rich when we started 5-2, and then we were at like 6-6, 6-7 at one point. I was very harsh on Rich Bisaccia, and I was very critical. And I said, this guy has to be fired. I kind of changed my stance a little bit. I don't think he has to be fired, but I do think Greg Olsen needs to be replaced, and we need to get a good offensive-minded coach. Some people have mentioned Harbaugh from Michigan. He obviously lost in the college playoffs, I believe, yesterday or the day before. Some people have mentioned him, and I don't think he comes into the Raiders to be an offensive coordinator. He'd only come to the Raiders to be a head coach. So, in my opinion, if you can upgrade at head coach, right? If Harbaugh's an upgrade, but if Doug Peters is an upgrade, which I don't know if he is, but if he's an upgrade, I see you take it. But if you're going to downgrade, you might be better with Rich Bisaccia and getting yourselves a better offensive coordinator. Again, I don't know if the Raiders should stick with Rich Bisaccia. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is Rich Bisaccia the Raiders head coach if we get into the playoffs? Mr. Nate Duncan said, what do you think of recent head coach rumors? It's crazy to think that there's so many coaches that I believe it was the Eagles or one of these teams that recently just fired their head coach. I'm not sure who it is on the top of my head. But it's crazy to think that they're already looking for their next head coach. They've already held interviews with the next head coach. And I can't think of what team it is on the top of my head. But they're already looking for their next head coach. And I have yet to hear anything about the Raiders. And although I have heard some rumors over the past couple of days, the Raiders need to start getting that jump start on their head coach because it's pivotal that the Raiders hire their head coach before the offseason starts because you want to give a head coach as much time as needed to figure out what he needs to do on the offensive side of the ball, the defense side of the ball, which coaches he's going to keep around, which coaches he needs to go steal from other teams. All right, you want to hire a coach as soon as possible. I don't really know which coaches. Maybe I can make a video on that. I appreciate the super chat. Adrian said you should put Venmo in your bio so we can support. I really appreciate that. I believe if you guys click the description button in the video below, if you guys open that, there should be like an arrow somewhere to open it up. I believe it's in there. I really appreciate any sort of any sort of support, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Adrian. Jason Hall said, I was at the game. The nation showed up. Source there said Waller's injury is his back, not his knee now. Source said he slipped a disc in his back. Raider Nation for life. I really appreciate that, although that's obviously not confirmed. I appreciate that, and I'll definitely look into it, and we'll see if that is actually true. If it is Darren Waller's back and not his knee, because it didn't make sense that he didn't play today. Like, it really didn't make sense because I know he had COVID, but all of these other players had COVID too, and they all played, right? So again, I don't know exactly what it is with Darren Waller. I'm going to assume he has a much more serious injury than the IT man, right, which was supposed to be like a 2-week injury, which has now kept him out, what's the 4th or 5th straight game. Like, there has to be something more going on. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Justin Harris said, Chargers have number 7 if they beat Broncos today. That probably is true. I don't know if the Dolphins and Ravens have won. I'm going to assume the Ravens probably lost, but the Chargers will likely have the number 7 seed and the Raiders will still be in number 10, but it'll all come down to that final game of the season. If the Raiders win, assuming the Chargers win today, if the Raiders win next week, the Raiders will take that number 7 seed, and we may jump even further because we beat the Colts. So don't forget, when that conference tiebreaker comes down, even if the Colts win next week and the Raiders win next week, we'll be further than that 7th seed. I believe the Raiders will be in at least 6, potentially 5. I guess that'll probably come down to the Patriots and the Bills. One will be either the number 2, the other will be the number 5 seed. And the Raiders could be the 6th seed, which is crazy, man. I'm excited, man. If you guys can't tell how pumped up I am, the fact that the Raiders went into Indianapolis, stepped up, and got the win, man, I'm pumped up, man. Antonio said, what's going on, Sanjit? The defense stepped up again. Third and Renfro is a beast from the East. Absolutely, man. Hunter Renfro, everybody needs to literally tag Hunter Renfro and tell him how much they appreciate him, because Hunter Renfro has been a star for the Raiders. Hunter Renfro has been the most consistent offensive player the Raiders have had this entire season. He's never hurt. He makes plays. Third downs, he comes up big. 3rd and 9 today, he came up with the biggest play of the game, or maybe 3rd and 10. Biggest play of the game. He gets up, he makes a play. Even against the Chargers, I will never forget the play against the Chargers. The fake pump by the Chargers, heads up play by Hunter Renfro coming up and laying a huge hit on that gunner. Although he dropped the ball, Hunter Renfro still laid a huge hit. Hunter Renfro really deserves a lot of credit. And same with the defense, man. Divine Diablo had 9 tackles today. He had a tackle for a loss. Yannick Ngakoue had a sack today, multiple pressures, as did Max Crosby. Quentin Jefferson and Darius Philon had the games of their lives, especially Darius Philon, man. Darius Philon was going at it with the Colts left guard, man, and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you for the super chat. Dante said, does this win say we will make playoffs? Absolutely. Still got to win next week, but I think this is the win that's going to get the Raiders over the hump. This is the win that's going to allow the Raiders to get in. Obviously, you still got to win next week. Hollywood Silva left a $5 super chat without a question. I really appreciate it. I'm going to see if you said anything. Maybe, I know sometimes you may accidentally click the button. I see you left another super chat. Thank you. What's the word on Waller? And we need to stop bashing Carr. He's not working with much of a receiving core on a bad offensive line. Here's the thing, man. I appreciate the super chat. I really do. Here's the thing. I don't think saying that you don't have playmakers is a valid excuse. And I will never, ever, ever allow Derek Carr or any other quarterback to say that it's the receivers. That's why a quarterback's failing. Because the Indianapolis Colts have no wide receivers either, right? I know some people say, oh, Michael Pittman or whoever else you may want to say. They don't have many wide receivers either. I would argue the Raiders have better wide receivers. Now, I get the Colts have a good offensive line and they have a good running back, but they also don't have good wide receivers. Either do the Ravens. The Ravens don't have good wide receivers. The Bills have a really good wide receiver, but only one, right? As the Raiders have Darren Waller. So, again, I don't think saying Derek Carr doesn't have much to work with is a valid excuse. Also, saying the offensive line is terrible is also not a valid excuse. The offensive line has been really good at times this year, and you can say they've been bad at other times. But either way, Derek Carr got the job done today. And that's all that matters. So you got to give a big shout out to Derek Carr. Andrew said Carr MVP. He got it done, man. He got it done, and that's all that matters. Carr is the most clutch player. That is absolutely all that matters. Again, I appreciate every single one of you guys that has tuned in already. And I appreciate all the comments, all the super chats, all that good stuff, man. It really does mean a ton. I see there's a ton more super chats, so we're going to get into all of those still. Cruise Control said, need a new regime, keep Carr, and get some skilled players, better O-line and defense pieces. The thing with the new regime is, does the new regime restart the build? Does that mean we get a new head coach? Does that mean we get a new defensive coordinator? Does that mean we cut ties with guys like Max Crosby or Cleveland Farrell or Jonathan Abram or Josh Jacobs? What does a new regime think about the players that are currently there? Are they going to look to rebuild, right? There's so many questions with a new regime. I would argue that it almost makes sense for the Raiders. Instead of getting a new regime, let's give Mike Mayock 2 to 3 years, right? Let's see what we can do with Mike Mayock. Let's see what he can do with those draft picks. And let's keep Gus Bradley. Some people are saying Nate Hobbs and Malcolm Kuntz and Trayvon Merrick are all Mike Mayock guys, but I would argue against that. I think these guys are Gus Bradley guys. Gus Bradley has shown us in the past that Gus Bradley knows how to draft players. He knows how to pick the good ones. Jalen Ramsey, Derwin James, KJ Wright, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, among a bunch of other players, right? Gus Bradley has shown us he can pick them. And I almost feel like you got to give Gus Bradley the credit for the players that he's brought in. So I almost feel like it might be the smarter thing to just keep these guys, right? I thank you for the comment. I really appreciate it. Christian said, got to give it to Zay Jones. I really doubted him earlier this season. Our defense played solid, but we need to force turnovers. I agree. The defense has to get better in terms of forcing turnovers. If the Raiders defense can force turnovers, it's going to be that much of an easier way for the Raiders to win. We've been negative in the turnover differential, I think, the last three weeks. Every single week, we've been negative, right? Derek Carr either has a fumble or an interception in every single game the past 3 to 4 weeks, and we haven't taken the ball away at all. And I almost feel like if the Raiders can at least force 1 or 2 turnovers every game, you're going to score more points, right? Like we scored 23 today, and we turned the ball over twice. Imagine if we don't turn over the ball twice and we get ourselves 2 turnovers. Like we put up 30, 35 points this game, right? Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Admire the grind. Go Raiders. Thank you, DeAndre. I really appreciate that. The grind is tough, man. It's really, really tough, but it's well worth it. Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. I really do. Micah, thank you for the super sticker. Huge shout out to you. Aaron said, greetings, nation. See some of y'all next weekend in Vegas. Sanjit for life. I appreciate that, man. I really, really do. You know, what's crazy is my man, Read the Tape, actually asked me to go to this Chargers game with him. And I really wish I could have because this game means pretty much everything, right? Shout out to him, man. If you guys don't follow Raid the Tape, go check his channel out. It's literally Raid the Tape. Great job doing film breakdowns and just talking Raiders. And I often go live with him. So check his channel out and you will see me on that channel often. Thank you for that. And if you are going to the game, or if you are planning to go to the Chargers game, make sure you go, man. We got to have as many Raider fans there. Although there's not a lot of Charger fans in general anyways, right? But being in LA, it's a pretty easy drive from LA to Vegas or even San Diego to Vegas. So you can definitely expect Charger fans to travel, especially if it means playoffs or no playoffs, right? So if you're a Raiders fan, make sure you show up. And if you're selling your tickets, man, make sure you sell them to other Raider fans. It really does make a difference having that home field advantage as opposed to not having that home field advantage. Thank you guys, or thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. Cruise Control said new coach. Thank you for the comment. You also said, how do we keep Gus and get rid of the coaching staff? So you can fire the head coach, or you can keep the head coach and just bring in a new offensive coordinator. But there is a way to also get rid of you can fire the head coach, and then you can, when you're hiring the next head coach, whoever it is, you let them know that, hey, Gus Bradley's the defensive coordinator. If you want the job, that's the one contingency of you accepting the job, right? Gus Bradley is the guy. So you would have to just make it very clear. Thank you for the comment. I really appreciate it. I hope I did not miss any of the super chats. I really appreciate all of you guys, man. I really do. It really does mean a lot that there's over 600 of you guys at one point tuned in. So if you guys can hit that thumbs up button, I really appreciate it. You know, before we end the video, I do want to kind of give my final thoughts on this game. You know, the Raiders did not play a perfect game. Like, let's be honest. You can't have multiple turnovers and not force any turnovers and expect to win games. Typically does not happen. But if you are going to do that, as we have the past couple of weeks, then you need the defensive side of the ball to step up, right? And that's what the defensive side of the ball did do. Carson Wentz had 148 yards in this game. He had like 15 yards before the final drive of the second half, right? Or I'm sorry, of the first half, right? The second quarter. He had like 10 yards. And it's up to the defense to continue to do those type of things if the offense is forcing turnovers, is turning the ball over. You know, we don't win this game if Derek Carr throws 2 interceptions and he doesn't go back and do what he did at the end of the game, right? Throw that touchdown when it mattered, then throw that pass to Hunter Renfrow on 3rd and 10. And even then, like, he had to avoid some pressure, right? Like, it's not like it was a very clean pocket. Without those plays, like, we don't win this game. Without Josh Jacobs running the ball 16 times for 63 yards, 4 catches for 17 yards, without Josh Jacobs doing all of that, we don't win this game. Josh Jacobs played hurt ribs, right, is what was kind of out there. Josh Jacobs came in and put his body on the line when he was not 100%. So you got to give a big shout out to Josh Jacobs. And, you know, Josh Jacobs, in my opinion, has really been a great player the past 2 weeks. And he came out in the first half, the first drive specifically, and he did a great job running the ball. 16 carries, 63 yards. That comes out to an average of 3.9 yards per attempt, which isn't terrible. It's just pretty good. And then Marcus Mariota had 3 carries for 16 yards. Jalen Richard, 1 carry for 4. Peyton Barber, 6 carries for 3 yards. Got to get better, man. Peyton Barber's not cutting it right now, but overall, this is a really nice team win from the kickers to the punters to the quarterback to the offensive line to the running back. Everyone really did a great job. And going into next week against this Chargers team, there's not a bigger game ever that I've watched. And I've been a fan for 20 years. There has not been a bigger game than this Chargers game, at least not a bigger regular season game. The Raiders win, you're in the playoffs. The Chargers win, they're in the playoffs. The Raiders got to get it done, man. The defense has to keep firing. The offense has to continue to get better. Remember, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Sometimes it just takes 1 or 2 plays, 1 or 2 wins to spark and for something to click. And for the Raiders, it seems like that's exactly what happened. This final game of the season, Gus Bradley gets to take on his former team, his former quarterback, right? He gets to go up against that. And let's hope that the Raiders come together. And let's hope we get healthy, man. We have some injuries. And let's hope that everyone kind of comes together. Dirty Styles, thank you for the super chat. I really, really appreciate the support. And I appreciate every single one of you guys that have tuned in. If you guys could hit that thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it before you guys go. Enjoy the win. Represent the Raiders. It's the best fan base in the world. Winning, best feeling in the world. Enjoy your guys' week, man, and stay tuned for a bunch of different videos this upcoming week. Have a great week.